for In My Pants.
Welcome to Final Tribal Council.
So how this will work, all three of the finalists will have 3 to 5 minutes to say their opening speeches, kind of give an opening impression about their gameplay, whatever they feel like they need to say to the jury. After that, we will go through from our oldest juror member, which would be Roman, to our newest juror member, which would be Emily. Hopefully, she'll be here by then. And then after everyone's gotten their questions in, we will have a final pleas to why they should be the winner of Snake X Island Season 2. How it will go also is there'll be a certain order going forward, and then backwards it'll be the opposite order. So on my screen first is Logan. So Logan, you will go first. Jack, you will go second. Brian, you will go third. And then at the end, Brian, you will go first. Jack, you will go second. Logan, you will go third.
No.
So Logan, you are up first.
Okay. So thank you all for being here, and to the ones that did show up and being a part of this season tonight. I want to break down real quickly why I believe I excelled in 3 most important factors of the game Survivor, which those being outwit, outplay, and outlast. In the outwit category, it's all about strategy. And some of the strategic moves that I would take a lot of credit for this season include the Roman and Daryl vote-offs in the pre-merge, along with Caleb at the final 10 and Dustin at final 5. But along with that, I believe that I played a key role in just about every single vote off this season. Whenever somebody was targeting me, they always went home before they had the chance to take a shot at me. And that was a big factor of my strategy this season. I voted the majority at every single tribal council this season, besides the Eric vote off and technically the Ion vote off, because like she got pulled from the game and I actually didn't want her to go. But yeah, like I believe that I played a key role in a lot of votes this season, and I'm ready to talk about that more in the questions. The outplay portion of the game is social, all about how did I blend into groups. On the original Polu tribe, I only knew Brian and Jade going into the game. I did not know anybody else. And I even voted out Jade at the first tribal council, but I still ended up in a relatively decent spot on that tribe. And then I swapped onto Melly Melly, where the only people that I knew were Eric and Emily. I did not know anybody else on that tribe. I never spoken to anybody else, but I still got myself into a powerful alliance on that tribe. And even though I was one of the only new people on that tribe, I still found myself to be like the swing vote at every single tribal council, and I was never targeted on that tribe. And yeah, I also used my time on the swap to my Melly tribe to form a strong bond with Dustin, which would end up being very crucial in the merge and onward. Once the merge hit, I did make an effort to branch out and talk to a lot of other people, such as Brian, by like giving him my necklace at Final 9. That was a good example of using that to gain a social connection. And then also Jack, who ended up being a close ally, Braden, and even like Ion. Like I even tried to work with Ion, but it didn't really work out just because of my association with Emily and Eric. And yeah, despite being one of the biggest threats from basically the merge onward, I always had people saying I was one of the biggest threats, but I was never legitimately at risk of going home besides at the final 6. And I feel like that's a big credit to my social game. Outlast is all about what we're doing right now. It's about making it as far as you can to this point and winning. I was at the bottom for different points this season, including like when I went into the merge at an 8-4 minority. I really felt like it'd be impossible for me to make it to this point. And there were just a lot of other different points this season where I felt like all hope was lost for me, but I always bounced back stronger than before. I never, ever gave up. And yeah, I attended and survived 14 tribal councils this season, which is more than anybody else this season can say. And yeah, I acknowledge that I lied to a lot of you. And I really do try to separate personal relationships from game relationships. I'm not going to apologize for lying or playing the game, but I do apologize if it looks like I used personal relationships for games. And yeah, I believe that each and every bond I made this season was completely real, and I'm excited and ready for any questions that you guys have.
Perfect. Up next is Jack.
Okay. I've got a lot to talk about. So I came into this game and there was 22 other players. Out of those 22 that were in the seat, am I lagging?
No.
Out of the 22 people that are in the game, 12 of those players I had never played a Survivor game with at all. Some of them never even played a game with, didn't know them. 4 of them I had played with and they had voted me out of games. 3 of them I had played with and I voted them out, and I was the reason they got voted out of other games. 3 of them were neutral. The 3 that were neutral were Logan, Emily, and Dustin, because I'd played games with them, but I had never, done them dirty, and they'd never done me dirty. So I never came into this game with any real pre-existing relationships that would really hinder my game or advance my game. I had to come in and build on those. My original tribe, Akala, was a mess. We all know that when we went into immunity challenges, Akala was not going to win. But when we did the team captain thing, I knew I did not want to win the team captain picking. So I threw that challenge. Not that I probably would have won, but I threw it because I did not want to show my cards so early on and pick show who I was loyal to and who I wanted to play the game with. Liz, she started off, she chose me on the tribe, but before she chose me, she chose Braden and she chose Ryan, who got to be immune for that first vote off thing. I knew instantly that Liz, Ryan, and Braden, not as a three, but individually, would all be close to each other. One, because of that reason, but two, just because they are good at the game. So I knew going into the first tribal council, after I had found the hidden immunity idol and transferred it to Destiny, that I needed to get one of her two out because I wanted Liz closer to me in this game. Destiny played that idol after I convinced people to vote for her, and she negated 6 of the 7 votes, and I told her to vote out Braden. You might be wondering, why did you vote out Braden? He was one of the strongest people in this game. The reason I wanted him out, one, was because I had a really strong feeling about the dual twist. Sent him there so he would go to Polu and that he would be able to build strong relationships. He had no clue that I was one of the people that was the reason he got out. He built those social connections, so when we did meet up later in the game, they would come and benefit me because they were like, oh, Braden talked about you. Braden said to trust you. Da, 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 da. The next tribal council, I got my first 2 votes of the season, one from Ryan, one from Liz. I had just saved Destiny, so I knew I had her 100% on my back. And Dustin told me he had my back as well, and he wanted to go to the final 2 with me. I specifically did not return the I want to go to the final 2 with you. I never said that to anybody until the final 7 of this game, which was Logan, which we're in the final 3. Emily and Ryan voted for me. We had a little bit of a heated argument at tribal council, but Ryan ended up leaving. At one of the other people that Liz chose in the first 2, Braden and Ryan, my first 2 targets out of the game, so Liz would be closer to me. But after she voted for me, that was done. She didn't want to really, connect with me because then going into the next tribal council, I knew Destiny was leaving, but I wasn't going to vote out my number 1 in the game at that point. So I voted wrong, obviously knowing she was leaving. Next tribal council after that, Connor Weaver had an idol. This is a big, crucial part of the game. He told me he had the idol, but then went around and told every other person in the game to target me. And my building relationships, I'm not the best speaker, sorry. Building relationships got Ion and Dustin to come to me and be like, hey, Connor's doing this. And I was like, well, he has an idol. We need to blindside him with an idol in pocket, which is one of the scariest things to do when you're in a tribe with 5 people and you know at least 2 people 100% are voting for you and 3 is the majority of that tribal. Liz and Connor both voted me then, and I blindsided them both. It was my plan to get Connor out. Yes, Justin and Ion helped me, but it was my move. Connor then made confessionals about me having idols, advantages, got all of you guys worried before I even got the chance to talk to you. Going into the next phase of the game, which was the tribe swap, it really helped me. I went into a new tribe, which was the new Polu, and I got to build loads of real relationships with people. I built a real relationship with Brian and Caleb by playing Pop Tropica and getting them to do things that they like. Going on there, Caleb was meant to be the vote off at that tribal council, and I flipped the vote from being Caleb to Andrew because I knew Caleb was going to be more loyal to me than Andrew ever would be. We went to the merge, and I want to talk about stats for competitions for a second because I wrote them down here, and in every single immunity challenge that I actually competed in, these are my stats: 4th place, 2nd place, 3rd place, 3rd place, 2nd place, 2nd place, 1st place. This whole game, I was a threat. Every single person knew. I'll talk about it more in my closing statement, and you can ask me questions. I was a threat, but I knew how to outwit, outlast, and outplay in this game. I knew what was going on at every single tribal council, and even though I didn't vote correctly every single way, it was on purpose. I have more to say. I'm just not the best at speaking. Sorry.
And last but not least, Brian.
Hey guys. Okay. So I'm gonna try to make this as quick as I can. So I just want to thank production and the jurors for having an amazing season, even the preachers that aren't here. I really did like this season. Even though there were ups and downs, I think it was really fun, and I'm gonna thank all of you for that. I just want to say that if I did have any way in getting you out, which I'm gonna be completely honest with you, there's only 2 people there, which is Liz and Eric, that I got out. Well, I didn't get out, but I voted you out. Liz, I'm sorry. Like, you know that I was nothing against you. It was either me or you, and I'm kind of at the bottom, so I had to do that. Eric, you both voted me out. Like, anyone that I voted out was voting me out that same tribal. So I had to do it. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't feel like going home. Sorry. So basically, I feel like I've definitely been at the bottom for the entirety of this game. Like you can say that I started out in a good position, but I started out good on Polu, which we really only went to two tribals. It was literally like a party every day. Like I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Like we didn't really do a lot. And then when merge hit, I feel like my game went downhill just because I had no control on the other tribe and all of my allies got taken out left and right and left and right. Then my tribe came and then Caleb got out. I didn't feel like I had a big grasp on the game, which honestly was not my fault. Like I tried talking to people, and even though everything around me was not going good for me, I still put on a smile and I worked my ass off in ways that you might not think I did. Like I do like micro social things, like just being nice to people, making jokes. Like I wanted to be someone that people like would like. I can't speak English, sorry, but like when you talk to me, I want to make you laugh. I want to make you happy, and I want to make you feel comfortable with me, which I think worked with a lot of people. I mean, like, of course, some people didn't really like me just because of my age or whatever. But it's like whatever. Like, I feel like I'm not gonna like say that I was at a disadvantage because of that. But like, I mean, like, I couldn't relate to a lot of people with things. Like, literally, I had to go at like certain times, which really I think hurt my game. But like, I tried the best to my ability. I tried to be as active as I could. And I definitely think I deserve to win because I mean, I feel like I was the underdog. Like I was able to make it to the end with everybody else being in the lines except for me, besides the two people who are Caleb and Roman both going home at merge, and then I am quitting, Rob so much. But like I just feel like I was able to survive, and even though I didn't make any big moves, I hope people can respect that I had not one massive flashy big move because that's never how I play. I'm never gonna play a flashy game. And I hope people realize that I do things to get me to the end and I get myself to survive because there are multiple positions where maybe I could have gone home. You never know, but I didn't go home because I was always able to have social connections where people were like, yeah, I don't want to vote him out. Even though he's on the bottom, I don't want to vote him out. And I think that's how I got myself to the end. And I really hope you can respect that. If you don't, I'm not going to be rude. It's whatever. But I hope you respect my game and I hope you give me a chance to plead myself out. And if you come in with saying that I did a shitty game, I hope you actually have to listen to me. Oh, listen to me. Thank you.
Perfect. So we are done with the first phase of this game. Now we're going to get into the jury questions. Like we said, we'll go kind of like in reverse order of the questions. So Roman, that means you are first. You can ask all three of them a question or just one person a question is up to you. You have control.
I kind of forgot. Shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So my question is for Brian. You kind of already answered it a little bit, but could you explain more, like person by person, how you got to the final three despite being against basically the whole tribe? Yes.
Of course. So I'm gonna start with that merge because at the beginning, like there wasn't a lot besides the Andrew vote off, where me and Caleb were basically the next to go. Where I mean, we never had to deal with that situation because we kept winning immunity, but that vote could have easily flipped on to Caleb. So I kept improving my social connections with everyone on the tribe, even people I voted out because like with certain people like Caleb and Ian, I told them straight to the base that I was gonna vote you out or I voted you out. And I think that definitely helped build trust connections with people like at Merge Dustin. I told him straight to his face, I voted him out and I wanted him out and I do not care. And he asked me if I was going to vote him again. And I said, yeah, I would vote you again if I need to. Like, I mean, I'm always going to be honest with people. I'm never going to tell them that I'm never going to vote for them because that's not true. Or like, I mean, to certain people, I've done that for them for safety, but I told a couple people things and yeah, I just smudged a little bit of the truth. But to my best of my ability to get to the end, I was blunt. Like, I'm gonna start with not Roman because you were on my side and you were also on the bottom. Same with Caleb. I didn't really need to talk to you besides the vote where you went home. The next person that went home, I'm gonna start off with Brayden. Is Brayden here? No, he isn't. Whatever. I don't really care. Basically, I didn't really have a good footing with Brayden. To be completely honest with you, it was kind of awkward between us, but I still tried talking to him. I was never rude to anyone, besides like little like jokes, like what I did to Jack and Logan, both of them multiple times. But like I tried being nice to people, and I think I wasn't trying to be overly annoying, and that's something that put me in goods with him, where he wasn't overly annoyed with me. Which I mean, but whatever. With Liz, Liz and Braden were kind of close, and when she talked to me, I just tried to be completely honest with her. I tried having good conversations with her. We didn't have a lot of conversations with her because we were either on at different times or we were on conflicting things where she was closer to Braden and I was kind of not really on her. But I tried talking to her when I could, and even though it didn't really go as well because we ended up voting her each other out, I just tried talking to her, like I guess like a normal person, or like I wanted to work with her, which I did want to work with you. It just like it couldn't happen because of that split tribal. But before that, I tried having one-on-ones with you, which I immediately got a couple in. But I tried to talk to everyone individually and on a personal level to try to connect with them, make them laugh, like I said, because I feel like humor is a way for everyone to talk to each other. And I hope it worked. And I hope no one's bitter at me. And then there's also Eric, where I only had like one or two conversations with you when you said that you wanted to make a big move and flip on your alliance, which I don't know how much I believed, but I was going to go with it because I wanted you to trust me because I really thought that we could have something. Of course, I was going to end up blindsiding you because you were a big threat, but I did want to work with you in that moment. And I think trying to get me to trust you made you not want to take me out, hopefully. And then there's people like Jack and Roman, and not Jack and Roman, Jack and Logan, who are people in the middle. Because I knew Jack was at a position where if he wanted me out, he might have some sway. So I tried talking to him, and I talked to probably Jack the most out of anyone here because I tried make sure I was in goods with him. Because even though he wasn't at the top of the chain, he still had some control where he could talk to them, and I always made sure that I was never going to control anything because if I controlled things, I knew that that would put me in a bad position. So I always try to be like the hi guys, I'm so excited to be here. Let me have my day and like get by and don't think of me as a threat. But I think that definitely worked with him with having a strong like a strong lines with him where I was always like, I feel like I'm on the bottom, I have no allies, which I said to multiple different people and it worked and it got me here. So I'm happy with that. I'm so sorry if I went on a tangent. I am trying my best. Thank you.
Okay, I gotta go, so I don't have time to ask another one. But I'll be back as soon as I can. Okay.
Okay, up next is Caleb, and Caleb did send a question, so at least y'all can hear a question. Caleb's question was for Jack. Jack, what was your biggest weakness, and how did you overcome that weakness to make the final three? You're on mute. You're on mute. Thank you.
My biggest weakness is not knowing how to unmute. My biggest weakness coming into the game was not knowing many people in the game. I managed to be able to navigate my way around and build strong social connections with every single person. There is not one single person in this game that got voted out at a tribal council that I went to that I did not have at least a good conversation with about the game or just personally. So coming in, not knowing many people, like I said, was a weakness, but getting to know people on a personal level, that does get on your, heartstrings a little bit. I played this game now for 44 days, and obviously playing games like Jackbox, being on Discord for hours and hours and hours, talking to different people, not constantly about game. You get to know these people and voting them out, it hurts a lot, and I hated having to do it, but I overcame the fact that yes, it might be emotional, but I'm here to play a game, and I did things that needed to be done.
Perfect. That was her only question. Up next is Ion.
When was Kayla by her?
What?
You called Kayla by her.
Oh, so sorry. I didn't realize I did that. That was his only question. I was thinking about that was thinking about Ion being next. Sorry.
Oh my god. Wait. My question is to who should it be? My question is to Logan. Logan, my question to you is, you had your people, that was pretty apparent, but it also seemed like you didn't really make other connections as where Jack had to reach out to other people, as I seen. You reached out to me once and then you never reached out to me ever again. But how do you think not reaching out to other people could like hurt you by like not winning this game? Because I know like like I said before, and you told me, well, like I said, jury management's a thing, and you literally shut me down on that one tribal council. Don't think I forgot, but you said, well, we're not at that point yet, but here I am as a jury member, and I'm going to be thinking about how you said to me jury management wasn't a thing at that time. Well, now here I am. Like, why do you deserve my jury vote?
I mean, like, for me, first off, when I did reach out to you, that was all genuine because I said in my opening play, I don't think you're here yet, but I really did want to work with you, but it really just did not work out because of my association with Emily and Eric. And at that point in the game for me, Emily and Eric were two people that I knew absolutely had zero intentions of voting for me, like for a while at least. Like, I don't think they would have planned to vote for me for at least like Final 5 or Final 4 maybe. So when I reached out to you, I already felt like I was taking a risk by it could backfire on me because every time I reached out to you, it gave you ammo that you could easily use against me if you ever wanted to. And along with that, I knew that you were like a big threat already. Like, I know that you, honestly, I feel like you probably didn't have that many people on your side. And I know that that's probably why you like lost a lot of like the motivation towards the end. And I do feel bad for that. But I really never tried to shut you down. And I'm sorry if it intended that way, but you also never reached out to me. So it goes both ways. Like, you never messaged me, and it wasn't like I gave like dry responses or anything. You never asked me to go on Discord or anything like that. And I didn't like shut you down like that. But I do agree that jury management obviously is always important. And I like at the time, that probably isn't, looking back at it, it's obviously not a smart answer. And why I believe I deserve your vote. I understand if you don't vote for me because of, once again, my association with Emily and Eric and just your whole thing with them. But I feel like you should separate that and look at just my game alone. I think you should look at the actual story that I have this season. And I think that you should look at the social game that I played and all of that, honestly. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, my next question is to Jack. Jack, we played this game from like the moment I stepped into Akala together, and you were like by far like one of my number ones in this game. And I really do appreciate you for that. And I hope Loki you win. But if people like, I honestly hope that people see that you had to like make relationships with other people to get to this point. And like, can you explain to people what was like your game plan like coming into the season?
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to respond for it first. Like, when you did come to Akala, I absolutely loved it. Like, instantly you became one of my people, and I really wanted to go like really, really, really deep in this game with you. Yeah, my game plan coming into the game was honestly, Connor Weaver took the words out of my mouth to be the snake in the username Snake X Island. I knew coming into this game, I usually play the most trustworthy and honest and loyal game. And I was like, this season, it's Snake X Island. It's got to be different. I've got to switch things up. I've got to play big from the moment the game starts to the end of the game. Because then I could at least go out of the game with my head held high, knowing that I played the game to the best of my ability. And I did just that. I was the only single person in this game who found and played an idol correctly. And I didn't just play one correctly, I played two correctly. There were 9 idols in this game, and I was the only one to negate any votes. And I never played the idol on myself. It was on Destiny and Brian, both people who had majority. I knew that it would be a big risk coming in playing such a big ballsy game from the start, and people might see that as a, wow, like he's playing so early, like what is he doing, taking out big players. I came in with the intention of that. Like I said, my head had to be held high, and I've gotten to this point playing that game. I said I was going to be the villain from the start, and I'm not really going to apologize for the moves that I made, because I made the moves that were best for me to get to the position that I'm in now, and clearly they paid off. And hopefully you guys as a jury respect that I am owning the fact that I was a villain, owning the fact that I was a backstabber, and owning the fact that I was going to do absolutely anything it takes to win this game, just like I said before the game even started. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome. And lastly, Brian. Brian, I low-key see you as like a little brother to me, even though like you could be so annoying sometimes when you freaking like, I don't know, you do something to my mind, like it's so weird. Like it's not in a bad way. Like you drive me crazy. Like you're like my fucking little sister. But my question to you is, you know, you've been at the bottom multiple times, multiple votes. How did you like keep yourself motivated through like all those tough times?
It was honestly definitely heartbreaking because I felt like in all the games I've been in, I've never felt this low to the point where, like, in all the other games I've been on the bottom in, I at least had someone and I felt completely alone. I came into this game with like people that I wanted to work with, didn't get put on their tribe, and I got so fucked over. And the way I kept myself motivated was I just saw that ending goal of trying to win and winning for everyone else that fell over and couldn't make it past certain points in the game. And I like really wanted to topple over that majority alliance and get them out because, to be completely honest with you, I didn't really like Melee that much just because of them taking out literally all of my allies. And it was really annoying. And the way I motivated myself was just like thinking about, okay, I want to get to the end, and that's one spot that they can't have. That's my spot. And I was not associated with them at all. And it worked. I got here and I took out like the last original Melee member. Even though Logan's still here, he wasn't on the original one. Well, he was a part of Melee, but like I took out the last original one. So excited to be here.
Period, as you should. Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, up next is Liz.
Hi guys. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna rip all three of you to shreds. So best of luck to you. So first off, obviously congratulations to all three of you. All three of you have said that basically you wanted to work with someone, but it just didn't happen. But in my books, if you want to work with someone, you'll work with them, and that's all I have to say on that. So I have like a little paragraph for all of you. So who should I go with first? Who should I rip apart first? Eeny, meeny, miny, Jack. So you came into this game with you said you came into this game with no real solidified relationships, but I was planning on being 100% loyal to you until you blindsided my ally. It seems like you kind of tried to isolate all of my allies from me, so please explain to me why you thought that was a good idea when you knew it would piss me off and you knew it could have potentially pushed me away as an ally and a friend when your intention was to make me go closer to you than my other allies.
Which ally were you talking about? I blindsided. Which one?
Brayden.
Brayden. Okay.
And Connor.
So, well, so I had to blindside Brayden. Like I said, it was part of the plan to send him to a different tribe and build those social connections if he were to win the duel, which he did. He went on to the other tribe and he did build those social connections. I had that in the back of my mind. And I knew that you were going to be really close to both of the people that you just named, which was very true. So taking Brayden out at the beginning, nobody knew about me doing that until we got to really merge, because you know, apart from when we did the tribe swap and Destiny went and told people on Melee, like Emily and Lucas, she told people, I don't know why she did that, but you didn't know that I was the reason that Brayden went home until a certain point of the game. So you did trust me for that little bit. Then with the Connor vote off, I knew I couldn't tell you that we were blindsiding Connor, because you would have told Connor to play as idol. Like you said, you and Connor tried to test me in this game, test my loyalty and see if I would tell you about Connor's idol. So Connor told me about that whole plan. So he told you to do it, and then he told me that you were doing it. So I told you, no, I don't know where the idol is, even though I did know he had it. So I don't know how I was meant to necessarily trust you back when you didn't have any trust in me, because you voted me at the second tribal council and the fourth tribal council you went to, and I never went home. The one tribal council I voted you, which was the final 8, where my hands were literally tied. If I voted Brian with you, it would have went to Rocks, and I was the only person eligible to go home. So I was basically forced into voting you out, even though I was one of the people who were running that to get you out, even though there was only 3 other people in the tribe. I had to do what I had to do. And like I said, I came in to play this game hard. I came to play for myself. I didn't come to play this game with previous connections and stuff. Not that I was given that many to play with anyway. So that's why I'm here with Brian, who previously in a different game, him and I targeted each other week after week after week after week, and I eventually got him out. And Logan, who I had never played a Survivor game with. I built those social connections from day one all the way up until now, and it kind of worked out. It definitely worked out.
Okay, who's next? Who wants to go next? Brian, Logan, which one of you wants to get ripped up next?
I'll go next.
Okay, well, Brian, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really drag you at all. Well, okay, Hey, Ryan. So, in my opinion, I think you're the most honest person sitting in this final three. So, I give you a lot of credits for that by playing an honest and loyal game. With that being said, I think a lot of people, including myself, are struggling to see the other aspects of your gameplay. I'm not gonna lie, I saw you as a huge flip flopper, which I literally said in a call with you on accident. I didn't know you were there. But sometimes being known as a flip flopper isn't the best thing to be known as in the game of Survivor. So I want to know what you did throughout the season that you believe got yourself, like your own moves to this position in time, other than riding other people's coattails.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I was honest in the flip flop part. I can see that, but my thing is that I'm gonna answer your question, but like I kind of like went with the waves because I knew if I tried bashing the waves of everyone telling me what to do, or like of everyone taking out my allies, like it wasn't gonna work. So I just kind of ducked under them and just kind of stayed in that position. But like with the flip flopping thing, I mean, my thing is that I was loyal to Caleb and them, and I want to take out Dustin because I didn't talk to him at all. And my goal was to take out Melly Melly throughout that entirety of it. And I did vote you out, but that was after it being between you and Jack. And I heard you were voting me out. And I mean, I couldn't really talk to you. I don't think you were on. But also, wait, were you on for that? Like for the beginning of it? Because I knew you got on like late. But like,
I was, but that plan wasn't my idea. So
okay. Yeah, I had no idea. But basically with the whole flip-flopping thing, like I get that, but I don't think I flip-flopped as much because like I tried, of course, being totally blunt, like I tried sticking to targeting the same people throughout the entirety of it. Besides the Braden and you voted off, I wanted to split you guys up because I mean you guys both worked with Melly to take out my allies. Well, I mean you guys basically voted off Caleb, which was kind of like the same thing. But basically, one thing that I solely did was, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of like one thing because I did like multiple smaller moves instead of one big one, which I kind of said that. But one thing that I did that solely got me farther without riding coattails was probably just my social connections with trying to tell people that you need to keep me. I need to get you farther. Well, you need to get me farther because I'm not going to win. And putting those ideas in people's heads, where I mean, I got here and I knew that I could end up winning an immunity or two at the end. Even though I only won one, I still won one. And people knew that if there was a puzzle comp at the end, I would probably win it, which I did. But I just kept putting ideas in people's heads that I was by myself. And it was more of a social thing more than a big flashy move. Like I individually went in people's heads instead of like, guys, I'm gonna take this person out because that's not how I played and I wasn't gonna be able to do that. And I'm sorry for voting you out. With the thing was like I couldn't really work you out. Your like closest ally didn't really like me and like I did want to work with you, but I knew you'd be more loyal to him more than you'd ever be loyal to me. And I knew that the three of us weren't gonna work together because Braden just did not want to work with me. So
I've been waiting for this one all night. Hey, Logan.
Ready?
Okay. So just know that I wrote this when I was like really angry, so don't take offense.
No worries.
So Logan, you told me the night I got snuffed that you 100% had my back and that you wouldn't flip on me and you lied to me. To me, this wasn't really a move. This was quite frankly you just being a coward and you were too scared to be honest with me because you knew I would clap back because I'm a flashy person. So please tell me why lying to me benefited your game when you knew that voting me out, I would be a part of the jury voting for a winner. And do you think it was worth it if you were to end up losing this game by one vote?
Okay, so for me, the reason why I actually lied to you was because really, like you said, I know that you're somebody who would blow up at Tribal Council and you would really easily blow up my game if you wanted to. So I did not want to give you the chance to do that before, like, so I wanted to send you home without having the chance to do that. And obviously you still kind of did it in your goodbye confessional, but like, I really wanted to just take you out before you had the chance to take me out and really blow up my game like that. Along with that, part of the reason why I did like lie to you in the first place and why I voted you out in the first place was because similar to what Brian said, one of your closest allies, Braden, was somebody who was always nervous about me. He was planning to take me out at some point in the game, and he literally targeted me at the next tribal council that after you got voted out. And if you were there for that tribal council, I believe I might have been voted out because that would have been probably an extra vote against me. So for me, I really wanted to work with you. That is the truth. But when you look at the three options I had Jack, who I knew would never vote for me, and it worked out because he ended up taking me to the end instead of putting me on fire. And I had Brian, somebody who I just gave my immunity necklace to. So I already had a strong connection with Brian, and I did not want to cut it off right after I gave him my necklace. So that is part of the reason why I voted you out and why I lied to you. If I lose by 1 vote because of that, then I obviously do think it's a bad move. But I hope that you could look past that, because at the end of the day, I only did it because I know how you would react if I did tell you. And I was really trying to just avoid that.
Okay, well, I have more words, but I'm gonna refrain from using them because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So, congratulations to all three of you. Obviously no hard feelings, unless you're Jack, because we were married, and yeah.
Yeah, she wants a divorce.
I'm just kidding. You're still mine. Back off.
Up next is Brayden. Brayden, obviously, it's not here, but we do have a question.
I have words for Brayden. He's texting me right now. We both said that some of you guys have a lot of fan behavior towards me and Brayden. That's all.
Brayden wants to know, he said, this is for Jack. People in the jury were undermining your game a little bit. I want to give you an opportunity to tell them why you deserve to win this game.
Okay. I'll pull out my little note again. Okay. I said I was going to mention these things at Final Tribal, but obviously with my open play, I got a bit messy, but hopefully I'm bringing it back. So I never received a single vote from night 9, the night Connor Weaver went, to night 40. That's 31 days in this game that my name was never written down on a piece of parchment at a tribal council. I knew who was going home at every single vote off that I went to. I knew where every single person was voting apart from 2 tribal councils. The first merge tribal, when people started splitting votes, I didn't know exactly where everyone was voting because I was at work, but I still knew where Roman was leaving. And the tribal council where Dustin went home, I had a very, very, very big gut feeling that Logan and Emily were actually voting for me. I said it in my confessional, which got posted. And even though I had the strong feeling, it happened. I didn't 100% know, so I'm not going to take credit like, oh, I knew it was happening. And I was, again, the only person to ever play an idol correctly, and I never played it on myself. I played it on 2 different people, and both times it made a big move. It took Brayden out of this game for a little bit, and then it took Eric out of this game. I got an idol flush in the pre-merge by Connor, and my game still almost got blown up because he told everyone in the confessional I had an advantage. So I needed to shut that down real quick. I flipped the vote pre-merge to save Caleb and flip it onto Andrew. The final 9, when Ion when Ion left the game, I was the one who flipped the vote from Ion onto Brayden at that final 9 tribal. He was going to leave. I don't know if many people know about that, but I constantly worked to know where every single person in this game was. So Emily, Eric, and Logan wanted to vote Ion out at final 9 in case the final 8 got there and we split into 2 tribes of 4, which we did. I flipped that so that Brayden would leave, but obviously she quit, so that is that. The Lisbon side, like I said, couldn't really do much about it because my hands were tied and I was kind of stuck. But I was the one who, and I've already told Brian this as well, Liz did not start that whole thing about voting him. I told him it was me on the Zoom call. I admitted it. But, Liz went at that tribal council, which I kind of started that conversation. So I kind of put that on my backpack as like my tick list. The final 7 vote off, no one can really claim it as their own with the Brayden thing. But I will say I tried to play my time bomb idol and everything like that, knowing it was completely invalid. I found the snake idol with Brayden's idol clue. He trusted me so much in this game at the final 7 that he gave me an idol clue, and I went and found the snake idol, which negated any votes off of the person it was played onto people back on themselves, which I played at the perfect time, final 6, which was the last time it could be used to take Eric out of this game, who I feel like played a really, really strong game, and he could potentially beat me in immunity challenges. I knew Brian's strong suit was mainly just puzzles and nothing really else, which I was right about. If Eric was in the final immunity, I think he would have done really well. If Eric was in that final 5 immunity with the puzzles, he would have done really well. So it was a really good move, in my opinion, to take him out. At the final 5, we got into a tie vote, and my connections that I had made from the beginning to the end of merge, from when I had met Logan, Emily, and Eric, it came into play, and they kept me and took Dustin out of this game. I won the final immunity challenge. The whole season I was saying, I want an immunity win. I want an immunity win. I went to every tribal council without a single immunity until the final. I think that just speaks volumes for my game, because I'm the only person sitting here that wasn't safe all the way up until the last point of this game. I made the auction. I made loads of jokes about it to decrease my threat level, especially coming into the merge. My threat level was up here. I was playing a stellar game, and people were, expressing that. Like I said, Connor was telling people about stuff that I was doing. My target was this big. So making little jokes about, where is it? Here on my jokes list. Jokes about Jack making the auction, the purple shirt jokes, changing my name when we were playing Jackbox. Me and Caleb had a joke about gumbo with shellfish. Me and Braden had a fist bump joke from the first tribal council all the way until the tribal council that he went, which I don't know if y'all picked up on, but whenever him and I would get on camera, we'd do this. And every single time I went to a tribal council, I asked for an idol or an advantage, or asked for little things. It was little things like that that decreased my threat level and made me the better player I am, because nobody targeted me. Because one, they trusted me, or two, they thought I was joking 99% of the time. I really believe I played this game from beginning to the end. Like I said, I think my biggest accomplishment was flushing an idol, playing 2 hours correctly, and lasting 31 days in a row without receiving a single vote.
Perfect. Okay, up next is Eric.
Hey. Okay, hey guys. Let me go to my notes real quick. Okay, I want to start with Brian. Hey Brian. First, congrats to all three of you. Nice job. You guys did something great to get to the final three. Very proud of you all. Brian, I have a question. So if you were to win, do you think you would be a good representative of this season? Why or why not?
I mean, honestly, I think that anyone here would be a good representative for the season. And I think mine does too, because I think that if I was the representative for the season, it would show that the underdog can prevail and you don't need to be part of a majority alliance or have flashy moves to win, which I think I definitely proved very well that you don't need a game that everyone has to recognize as you're the biggest threat to win. And I think that this game should definitely have an underdog to win after the season, after all the events that have happened. I'm not saying that the other two don't deserve to win, because they definitely do deserve to win. All of us do. But at the end of the day, I really hope I do win so I can represent the season as somebody who people did root for and was someone that you didn't expect to make it this far and to actually have a chance at winning the game, because I know a lot of people didn't expect much of me to just kind of get by and just end up like getting kicked to the road and voted out sometime. But I kind of stuck in the game. I was determined at every point in this game, even when my allies went home. And I tried as hard as I did. So I hope that people do vote me to win, and I think I would be a really good rep. So vote me to win. And Liz, do not push me into the fire.
I will do what I want. Thank you.
Nice. Okay. Jack, I just have a little question for you. What was your ideal final three?
My ideal final three.
Going into merge, what was your what was your ideal final three? Yeah.
So going into the merge, my ideal final three from when Noel was still in the game was going to be myself, Emily, and Ion. But I knew realistically that was never, ever going to happen. So my final three changed every single second of this game because I was adaptable. I wanted to make sure that every single day went by, people's opinions of other people's changed, people's threats, people's, people who they were targeting changed every single second. So right here from the final, I would probably say final 6 onwards, Logan and Brian were my perfect final three. I did kind of want Emily there instead of Brian, but I didn't really mind. They were kind of interchangeable for me because I knew I played a really great game. And if I could get to the final three, I would hope the jury would respect the game I'm playing and have played. I hope you'll all do. But I don't think I could ever just say this is my final three, because I feel like if you do say that, you're very stuck in the mud. You're not willing to adapt. You're not willing to be on your toes and bounce around to different places. And I am very willing to adapt, and I did that, and I showed that many times. So my final three did change probably 100 times, but that was also because I allowed myself never to be an honest, heroic, loyal player. It was because I came in to be the villainous, chaotic, mastermind, basically. And I wasn't really that chaotic, but when I was, I was.
Thank you. Okay, and then I want to end off with Logan, and I thinking just Brain's question asking about how Jack's game was undermined. I think that isn't true, because I feel like Logan's game has been undermined by the jury this whole time, because everyone's just like been placing Logan in like this majority this whole time. When like us, Melee, us four, we came into the merge. I just want you all to realize that we came into the merge like an 8-4 minority. Like we sucked. Like I thought we were going to get taken off one by one. And well, thanks to Nora quitting, but also like we just like happened to get out of that obvious minority. And I think Logan was a very, very, very just like amazing. He did an amazing job at just talking to everybody and making sure that he was in good with everybody. And like Logan planned a lot of these moves. He was always on Discord, always talking. I just think you all need to realize that Logan played a really good game. And I think Logan's actually, his game has been very undermined this by the jury. So I just want you all to keep that in mind. And then falling into my question, Logan, so I just want to ask you, how did you manage to stay in the game despite being a front runner to win, I'd say, for a good majority of the merge?
First off, thanks for saying that. That was really nice. But yeah, no, like for me, a lot of the stuff that I went into the season thinking was I wanted to improve my social game. And obviously Ion said that my social game was lacking, which that like I really did try to be active on Discord. I tried to talk to a lot of people. When the merge hit, I really did make an effort to talk to each and every person. I formed a strong connection with Jack right away. And I also believe that that in general is part of why I really did like make it to this point. When the pre-merge was happening, you, me, and Emily were on Discord one night right before the merge hit. And I told you guys that I was going to play the absolute hardest that I played before to try to get us to the end. I wanted us to be at the end. And obviously it didn't happen. I'm the one that got to the end. However, I still did play my absolute ass off from that point onward. I really did try to form a connection with each and every person. And I believe that I always did know what was going on. Even when I was like there were situations where it's not seen right now, but Tony and Where's It War, he had a spy nest. Every day when I was doing school, I had Discord on my laptop open, and I would keep track of who was top each and every day on Discord. And that would affect how much I trusted each and every person. And I can confirm this after the season ends, but I have a trust chart of how much I trust each person. And usually I would send it to the host after each tribal council. And the person towards the bottom of the trust chart usually went home. I usually sent home the person who did not trust me the most, or who I trusted the least. And a lot of that was how I played the season. I wanted to send home the people who either I just didn't trust as much, or the people who were targeting me next. Caleb was targeting me and then he got sent home. Brandon was targeting me and then he got sent home. Dustin wanted me gone and then he got sent home. So I feel like I was always just one step ahead of people. And I based a lot of my decisions just on how much I could trust people because I wanted to make it to the end. So yeah.
Thank you. Good luck to you three.
Okay, up next is Dustin.
Okay, how's it going, everyone? Good job. So my first question is for Jack. I had your back 100%. I voted with you majority of the time. I also think Logan's gameplay is very underestimated. I always thought Logan had the best gameplay getting here. You had multiple opportunities to take him out. And you said you were planning on taking out like big players in this game. Logan has played an amazing game, better than I thought I had played. So I'm wondering why you chose to get rid of someone super loyal to you over someone who's played equally or better game than you.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with saying Logan, he is underestimated. His game, I'm going to be honest, is good. I do think, although his game is good, my game was great. No offense, Logan. You know I love you. But I knew that me going into the end, I knew going into the end that my game was so big, and it had so many twists and had so many turns, and it had so much going on that I was able to still manage. That was the most impressive part. Every single person on that jury told me either who they wanted to vote at one time, what they wanted to do, what their plan was, who they wanted to go to the end with. Like, I knew what everyone was doing. So the reason I kept Logan is because I knew, although you were loyal, Logan was also loyal. And that got proven in the final five when Logan voted to, told Emily to keep me. And the whole rock thing happened. The reason I really wanted to take you out of this game was because I knew if I got to the final four with you, me, Brian had immunity at that point, and then say Emily, because Logan would have been voted out, I would have been the biggest threat in the game. all it would take is for me to lose that immunity challenge and then get put straight in the fire. I'm not good at puzzles. I've never been good at puzzles. So I needed to make sure that when going into the final 4, I had people who were going to take me to the end. Logan and I made a deal at final 5, final 6, something like that, that going into the final 4, if I were to win immunity at final 4, I would take him to the end and not send him to fire, and he would take me to the end and not send me to fire. Emily and I also made exactly the same deal, where I didn't say I was going to take her to the end, though. I just asked her if she would take me to the end and not send me to fire. Me and Brian never had this talk, but like Brian said in his confessionals, he thinks it was kind of stupid not to send Logan to fire. And yes, we did have this conversation. We had it in front of Dustin.
Yeah, and that's when I told you that I don't know if I could do that because I would want to go to fire. And that I told you.
Yeah, but okay, fair enough. But I kept Logan in this game because I feel like he was really loyal to me. He wasn't going to send me to the final 4 fire, which I knew was the only part of this game where I genuinely could have got taken out. I went to every single tribal council this season, quite confident I was coming out on top, and made sure when I went in with my torch still lit, I walked out again with my torch still lit. I was a huge reason for almost every single one of you guys sitting on that jury. One of the biggest moves this season was the Eric blindside, fully because of me. Dustin and Brian were in on the plan, but I was the one who orchestrated it. The other blindside that happened in the season, Connor Weaver, Dustin and I went on the plan, but I was the one who gathered the vote and got like the army to go after him. The Braden blindside, my thing. The Ryan vote off. He's a huge player, and everyone should have been scared of him coming into this game. Zach even had him as his winner prediction, and Simona had Braden as her winner prediction. I took out the winner's prediction of both the hosts in the first 2 tribal councils. I think my game speaks for itself, and I really hope you do respect the fact that, yes, I brought Logan, but he is the other better person in the final 4. And if I want to be the best, I've said this multiple times, I've got to be one of the best. And I do think I'm one of the best, if not the best, sitting right now. Does that answer your question, or did I just go on a tangent?
It does. You're good, dude. Okay, my next question is for Brian. I feel like my question is, how did you manage to survive so much out of all your allies? Because you went from being in the majority to minority all the way up. Mostly this whole game, you're in the minority. And I feel like that's very underlooked. So my question is, what was the main thing you did that you were able to stay in the minority for so long?
Like, do you mean like how I was able to survive with being in the minority?
Yeah,
or...
how were you able to? Yes. Sorry, I worded it wrong.
I think that one thing is that I tried talking to everyone. It's not that I needed to, it's that I wanted to, because I like talking to people. I like making social connections. And little things go a long way in the end if the vote's between someone like the vote between me and Caleb, because me and Caleb were both kind of having the same plan. Even though we were both kind of going off after the same people like Logan, I didn't make it known that I was going after Logan to anyone besides Caleb, because if I did that, I would be the one out. I talked to Logan. I made him feel like he could trust me, which, I mean, could he for the moment, but the moment that I actually had a chance to take him out, I was going to take him out. Sorry, but like, I mean, my thing is I tried being vocal and honest, but I was vocal about the moves that I did. Little things I kept to myself until I actually did them. Like, for example, let's say that I did vote Dustin. Let's say I did vote Logan. I'd be like, yeah, Logan, I voted you. And I think my honesty went a long way, because I was always the first person to tell people who I voted for. And I think even though I was in the minority, people respected that, and they realized that they kept me around. I would still say who I voted for, because I really don't give a fuck. Because I'm not going to be on that fake shit. I'm going to tell you straight to your face, because I don't care about like lying, because that's weird. This is Survivor. Like, you're going to find out anyways. I'm going to tell you, because why not? And I also had connections, not like just talking to people in friendships, more friendships than, connections, as in we are like working together so close that people thought that it could be beneficial to keep me. Like, the thing when Logan gave me immunity, I said, Logan, build up your social connection, give me immunity. Because I thought it'd be really funny if I got someone's immunity, because I haven't gotten one yet. And I love getting immunity transferred to me. It's so fun. So, I mean, I told him that that's a way for him to keep me in the game. And I think he felt very good with me after that. Like, he just made, a good social connection. And I'm like, yeah, he definitely did. But I think it also helped me because it made him trust me more. was able to have that trust to give that sorry, to me. He was like, yeah, I can trust him with more stuff. Like, I'm gonna bring him in, and I'm gonna tell him votes, and I'm going to not vote him out. And that definitely helped me survive. And just making people trust me more, it was a two-way street, and it definitely helped me get here because I made sure I tried covering all my bases. Every base I could cover, I did, and I tried doing everything to the best of my ability. I never gave up, no matter how bad it looked. I kept going, and I got here. So I'm proud of myself.
Okay, Maya, thanks for answering that. My last question is for Logan. So my question is, you see Brian has got here being completely blunt, straight up, very honest player. Why do you feel that you were not able to do that? Like, play that type of gameplay and get to the end?
Sorry, can you repeat that? My Wi-Fi just
Oh yeah, of course.
Sorry.
I said, why? I'm trying to think how to phrase it. I said Brian has played a very upfront, straight up game. He was very blunt, just straightforward, and he was able to make it to the same spot you are in. Why do you feel like you cannot play that type of game?
I feel like going to, especially the merge, me and Brian were in two different spots. Brian started off in a spot where, like Eric said, he was in an 8-4 majority. I was in a spot where I was in a minority. So I basically had to lie to get to the point that I was in. And from that point onward, people viewed me as one of the biggest threats. Brian was in a spot where he basically didn't have that many people and he like had nothing to lose, but I had a lot to lose because each and every person could easily blow up my game if they ever wanted to. So I tried to be very delicate with each and every person in the season. So I believe that me and Brian were in like completely different spots of the game. Was in a spot where he could pretty much be honest with everybody because he was at the bottom for a lot of the game. I was in a spot where, for the most part, at the merge, a lot of people wanted me gone, and I was trying to balance a lot of different things. So I couldn't really I had to lie to people because if I was honest with people, they could easily talk to other people. They could easily check each other's notes, and it would really just take one conversation for everybody to blow up my game. And I spent the whole game trying to avoid that, and I think I did a pretty good job at avoiding that.
Good point. And that's all for me. Good luck to whoever wins.
Okay, last but not least, we have Emily Buffs.
Oh my god. Hey. So quite frankly, I don't have questions for Jack or Brian. So sorry, but I do have a statement for Jack. Jack, I think that you made a terrible mistake in making the move that you did on Eric. I think that, quite frankly, if you do not win, it's going to be based on the fact that Brian is going to beat you in the end. I think that you really underestimated how much the jury was bitter towards Eric, Logan, and I, and that saving Brian, he has this underdog story as where, if you were sitting with us, we don't have that. They hate us. And now, Brian,
Can I
love
respond
you.
to that quickly?
That's about it. You
Can I
continue.
respond?
Love
Yeah.
you, Emily.
So I feel like me taking out Eric was the worst move for you and for Logan, not for me. For Jack's game, it was the best move for me. It wasn't the best move for Brian. It was not the best move for Dustin. For me, it was the best move. The best move for all of you right now sitting on the jury necessarily would have been to take me, Logan, and Brian out at any point that you could have. But I made sure that every single time that I went into a tribal council, I was honestly looking out for what was best for me, regardless if I voted in the right way. I still knew what was going on, and I knew that, I'm not voting Roman at the first tribal council of merge because, one, me and Roman did build a relationship and I like him, but I knew if I did vote for him, I would lose the connections that I had with people such as Brian, such as Caleb, and Iron just came in now, but such as Iron. I needed to keep the connections that I built. So me making moves such as the Eric vote wasn't the worst move for me. I'm sitting here in the final tribal council with the most consecutive days without receiving a single vote, sitting in the final tribal council, winning the final immunity and having the final say of the season. I'm sitting in the final tribal council, the only person to play idols correctly. I'm sitting in this tribal council knowing who went home every single vote that I attended. So like I said, not the worst move for me because I'm here. It might have been the worst move for you and Logan. But I still love
say
you.
it was right now the worst move for you. Sorry if you misheard me, but I said if you lose, I think that that's your like mistake, because I think that more than likely it would be him to beat you than the other one. Anyways, moving on to Logan. Logan, I adore you. I think we all know where my vote is going tonight. But I want you to explain, since like Eric, you and I got like so like crushed together. It's like, what did you do individually, like on your own? Like, what did you do apart from Eric and I?
Yeah, so like for me, like I said, like I've been saying this whole time, my philosophy in the game was always I want to take out the people who I believed had intentions to take me out. And a lot of that went into, first of all, in the pre-merge. I know a lot of people don't really care about the pre-merge a lot, but I did always make sure that it was always the people like Roman and Daryl who had intentions most likely to take me out. I tried to take them out first. And going into the merge, like I said before, I had the whole spy nest thing going on. I really did update my trust chart every single time. And I always made sure that as a person at the bottom of my trust chart who went home. Sometimes you guys would try to push for somebody else, and I usually try to nudge it in the direction that I want to go, such as Caleb, and I believe even Roman, even though I think Dustin also pushed for Roman a lot more than me. But I was like, okay with that happening. Along with that, at the final five, because I do want to talk about this, you were super mad at Jack, and you were really adamant on him going. I did not want Jack to go at that travel because Jack was the only person who I believed would take me to the end. You would probably take me to the end, but I don't think you would have won the final immunity. So Jack was a person who, like, I really—
You just lost my vote.
I feel like I needed Jack there because he was somebody who would take me to the end. So what I did was, even though I did play the idol incorrectly, I purposely did it that way because I wanted it to be a 2-2 tie. I wanted me and Emily to be the ones running that tribal council, and I wanted Dustin to go home. Even though I really do like Dustin, Dustin was somebody who was targeting me. And like I said before, I always took out somebody if they were targeting me. And Dustin, even though I feel like he undermined his own game a lot, I really do believe that Dustin would have won if he made it to the end because he did have good jury management. And I feel like that would have been a really key factor for me. So I wanted Dustin to go home like before if Dustin didn't go home at that tribal council, I feel like I would have had a lot more trouble making it to this point and maybe even winning. And then along with that also, at the final, I believe 9, I received a message in a bottle disadvantage. This disadvantage told me that I was not allowed to vote at one of the next 2 tribal councils. However, I told a lot of people that it was the next 3 tribal councils. I told some people it was the next 4 tribal councils, and I told some people it was the next 5 tribal councils. This was because I didn't want anybody to have that actual knowledge that I wasn't allowed to vote at one of the next 2 tribal councils, because that's way too much power for everybody to have. So nobody really knew when I was allowed to vote, but I told basically every single person about that to gain trust with everybody. So although I was associated with you guys, I feel like I also made a lot more effort to build a connection with each and every person. And I feel like that's a big reason why I got to the end. Along with that, I know this is a long answer, so I apologize, but at the final 6 also, this was a big moment in the game. I told Jack that Eric did not have the idol. And I did that because, I'm sorry, Eric, but Jack and Dustin had both talked to me about wanting to make a move against somebody like on our side. And even Brian hinted towards it. And they all thought that you two both had idols. And I was like, oh shit, if they want to make a move, they're not going to vote for either of you two because you two both have idols. So telling Jack that Eric didn't have an idol was almost the safety blanket for me because I knew that Jack would rather Eric go than me. So I did that as a way to make sure that if they did end up making a move, it would be against Eric and not me. And it worked out because I only received the 1 tribal count, or I only received the 1 vote at that tribal council. And I believe that that is a big part because everybody knew that Eric didn't have the idol at that point. And I believe that was a big reason why I survived at that point, along with my social connection with Jack. And yeah.
Oh, am I supposed to say something? Thank you.
Okay, so now we are at the final part of the final tribal council. Each of you 3 will have a final plea. Again, it will be 5 minutes. I will pull phone up here if it gets close to that. Brian, since you were the last person to go, you will start us out.
Okay, let me just think for a second, because I'm trying to remember all the bases I want to cover because I had this all in my head. Out the window. Okay, I'm gonna start with what Logan said about me being in a good position at the beginning of merge. It may have seemed like that, but I actually was not. I was the first or second to go on my OG Polu tribe, so I knew that shit was gonna crack as soon as it got there. Because I know there were people that weren't loyal to it because I knew people would have easily flipped like Brayden. I knew he was going to be out the door. I knew people like Jack would either be really loyal to Nor or them because he was very in the middle where he could go either way. And Polo wasn't sticking together. And I know that you guys were like, oh my God, we're going to be on the bottom. But I think even with Nor staying, Nor was going to go home if she didn't win immunity. I mean, I think that Polo was just a tribe that was together to win immunities. It was very cracked. And I was walking on eggshells throughout my entire time there because I knew that I was on the bottom, but I'm just gonna act happy, like, I'm, so like I said, so excited to be here. Like I was just trying to stay, and it seemed like I was in a great position, but I really wasn't. All of my allies, besides Caleb and then Roman, who came into the game, were out. And Caleb, I didn't even know how much he trusted me because I tried voting him out. So I wasn't at this perfect position. Like I was in a really cracked position where I tried pulling in the pieces and it didn't work. Um, Another thing is with the Dustin vote off, with the Eric one, the Eric vote off. I think that my thing was that I think if Eric was here now, I think that it might have been easier for Jack to get a win, just because I think that the rest were winning that Final Five immunity, and I realized that because Eric was also good at puzzles, and he was the person I needed to beat. Um, and maybe he was gonna win Cup, but the Cup thing, but the majority of the chance was that Jack was still winning. And it would have been the same thing with Eric going against Emily in fire making, Eric probably winning, and then Eric against Logan, which would have split apart the votes for Jack. Basically, well, would have made the vote easier for him because the vote between Logan and Eric would be really split, where the votes weren't going to be as close, which I knew benefited me because Jack didn't know that. And Jack, if you realize, it probably would have been better to take Eric, even though they were all working together because he was still a comp threat, where Dustin was most definitely still going to Final Five because I know that people had Dustin as a target. I tried realizing as much of this information as I could, and I just kept it to myself because that benefited me. And of course, I wanted to survive, so I wasn't going to say anything like, "Oh, Eric should probably, stay instead of me." But it benefited me because I knew Eric was the thing I needed to get out of my way to win that immunity. And if I didn't win that, I had no idea I could have ended up in the tiebreaker because I knew everyone there would have thrown me to the side because they just wanted to. My perfect Final Five was Dustin and Emily, which of course didn't happen. But I tried to be as adaptable as I could, where you get what you get, you don't get upset because I never got what I wanted, besides maybe the one vote that I didn't go home. And I tried adapting, I tried changing. Like there are so many moments where I just had to sit back and think what I need to do to survive and what's happening because there are so many things being thrown at me at once and I couldn't catch everything. I tried picking up things, putting it in place, and I'm doing all of this while I'm just sitting there like trying to act like, I'm by myself, which I really was. I was by myself. I was a lone wolf. Like I don't have anyone on that jury that's rooting for me, that was a number one for me, that's going to be there to support me because I've been in games where I had somebody on the jury that was severely against me, and I never really had that one person that's for me in this game. Like I know both people have people that are, you should vote for Logan, you should vote for Jack. I don't really have that. I mean, I might have a vote or two, but I don't really have anything that's locked or people that are gonna support me. And I really hope that you guys vote me because I was the underdog. I did make it here and I didn't play any flashy moves. But I think that my determination and the work I put in, plus of me getting here with the underdog story, I think that should be enough to vote me to win. If you're, on the fence, I think that I'm the way to go. Please, I hope you listen to everything I say and look back on this because I think I definitely played a really good game. You may not have seen it until now, but I really hope you listen to what I have to say because I think it was worthwhile. I tried my best. I was definitely someone that got in people's ears. I was social. I did everything that I needed to do to get here without being too much that I was going to be a target. Me targeting people, they didn't even know it. And of course, I never got the opportunity to, but I always had that 2 cents in my head on where things might have been going. Of course, I wasn't always right, but there were portions where I did know what was happening and it was better for me to just shut the fuck up because that was the thing. I just had to shut the fuck up because I know that people probably wouldn't listen to me or they would think I'm annoying and they just voted me off, which of course people did think I was annoying. People are probably thinking I'm annoying right now, rambling on, but I don't care. I'm
Thank you,
gonna
Brian.
look past.
Your 5 minutes are up.
No, I should go home. Okay, I'm done. Yes.
Jack, you are up next. Your time starts now.
Okay, so if you have listened to every single thing that anyone has said at this final tribal council, mainly Logan and Brian, they both said they needed me in this game. And I positioned myself in a spot where people knew that taking me out of this game would be bad for their game. If you look at it, Logan, he said he needed me because he knew that I would take him to the end. So he wanted to keep me. I guarantee if you look at his trust chart, I'll either be number 1, number 2, or number 3 every single week since the merge. Number 3, see? Eric needed me in this game because when merge first happened, he knew that, like he said, he was on the bottom. And once No quit, I knew that Polu tribe was going to start splitting away and the alliance was not going to stick together. Brian said that they were not going to sit together and they were going to kind of split, but that was quite evident against that in the first tribal council of the merge, where they got together and they split their votes and they worked together to try and do something. I don't necessarily know what happened there. Liz, she felt like she needed me, even though she voted me 2 tribal councils pre-merge. She still felt like she needed me in a tribal council where there was only 3 options. She obviously isn't voting herself. She's either voting me or Brian. She didn't vote me. Brian didn't vote me. I think that's very impressive. That tribal council, like if you look at the other one, Dustin would have went home at that tribal council if he didn't hit the safety without power. Emily and Eric both got votes. I was the only person that whole time that didn't have an immunity necklace that survived. Dustin said from the beginning of this game all the way up until the final 5, he needed me in this game and he trusted me. Emily, exactly the same thing with Eric. She needed me in this game to try and keep her. Ion, when she came to the Akala tribe after she won the duel against Ryan, I was the first person to go message her. I made that connection with her instantly, and I wanted to stay true to my word with her and keep her as long as I could in this game. Unfortunately, she felt like she had to do what was best for her and leave the game, which I respect. But I was genuinely loyal to Ion. Roman, him and I never really got to talk or anything like that. It was the first merge tribal was the first tribal we went to together, and I was at work, so I can't really speak too much on that. Braden, he gave me an idol clue at the final 7. Not many people in this game can get an idol clue. He gave it to me, he gave it to Dustin, and then we're the only 2 people that he gave it to. And I found the idol. Connor told me that he had an idol. I knew where every single idol and where every single advantage was in this game, minus the final 5 when Logan found his. So I feel like if you look at my game as a whole, it is impressive. It is one of the best in the final 3, potentially the best of the whole game. I don't want to sound cocky or anything like that, but I feel like the game that I've played has been great. I have played from day 1, finding that idol, all the way to day 45 tonight, even though we just had 3 break days or whatever it was, 2-day break days. I never stopped working. If Logan was checking Discord, 99% chance, I was always in a room talking to somebody, figuring out stuff, whether it was gameplay, whether it was personal. Any personal relationships I built with people in this game, 100% genuine. But I know how to set genuine personal relationships from game relationships and gameplay aside, and that's what I think really helped push me forward. I feel like I executed the outwit, outlast, and outplay portion of this game absolutely perfectly. I've talked about my idle plays multiple times. I've talked about my statistics and immunity challenges. People should have seen that I was a huge threat to win those immunities. I won the final one, which was the most important one, and the only one I needed. Any other of the tribal councils, I didn't need it. I just didn't. I threw the cup stacking. You saw how fast I built that cup tower in the first round. And then when I saw the second round was me, Brian, Logan, and I believe Braden, I was like, okay, I'm good with these other 3 people. Any of these 3 people win it. I don't need to win it. So although I did come close, I didn't go as fast as I knew I could and needed to, because I never needed immunity. I positioned myself in the best position every single time, and not one time in this game did anyone actually genuinely want me out until the final 5 when it tied and Brian and Dustin tried to flip it. And even Brian didn't want to vote me at the final 5. That's how good my game was. Nobody ever wanted me out of this game because I positioned myself perfectly. I hope you respect the game that I played. I hope you see that I did play from the beginning to the end, and I hope you let me represent the craziness that this season has been. Let me be not just the snake in the username Snake X Island, but the season 2 winner in the bio of Snake X Island. Thank you. Love you all. Good night.
Okay, perfect. And to finish us out, we have Logan.
Okay, so I believe that each and every game in this fandom is a new story, and every single game has a new narrative. And I believe that my narrative this season and my story this season is one of the best. I found myself on the bottom quite a few times this season. I merged into an 8-4 minority where it really felt like it'd be impossible for me to make it to the end. Even though Brian did downplay how it felt, it really did feel like a bad position because literally everybody didn't like us. It felt like I had a penalty vote and a message in a bottle disadvantage that I talked about earlier. That took away my ability to vote at one of the next 2 tribal councils. I lost a very close ally of mine at the final 6 that I definitely didn't want to go further with. But whenever I was in a bad spot, I always bounced back stronger than before. In the application for the season, we were asked if we saw ourselves as a top dog or an underdog. Jack is, I feel like he's seen as the top dog, and Brian is obviously seen as the underdog. but I feel like I played both roles this season. There were different points this season where I was the top dog, and there were different points this season where I was the underdog. But when I was the underdog, I absolutely never gave up. I worked incredibly hard to get myself back into the top dog position that I preferred to be in, obviously. And yeah, on day one of the cast reveal, I was literally like having a panic attack because there were so many big names this season that I was very nervous to play with. Like I was scared to, like I saw people like Liz, I saw people like Ion, I saw people like Emily Buffs, I saw all these big names that I was just like, I was nervous to play with them because I was like, can I keep up with them? And I feel like at this point I did. On day 44 of this game, I'm a completely different person than I was on day one. Even though it's just an Instagram game, I really did gain a lot of confidence in myself in each and every day this season. And yeah, I believe I'd be a really great winner for the season. I'd be a really great representation for the season. When you guys go and cast your votes, it would mean the absolute world to me if you consider writing my name down. And yeah, thank you.
Perfect. So with that being said, it is time to vote for a winner. Instead of voting someone out, reminder, you are voting for a winner who you would like to see be the representative of season 2. You have about 5 minutes to vote in your name DM. Jury members, if you need a heart, just let me know. If not, I think I messaged a bunch of you just like recently. And then when we get back, we'll count the votes. So if you want to stop this recording, we can do like a new recording.